All right, 11 o'clock class. Here are the results of the belief quiz. And I wanted to run through these four categories. And for exam purposes, it's going to be important to basically understand the relationship between government regulation and bedroom and wallet. Now you'll notice up here, I had asked y'all about 7 questions dealing with bedroom or moral issues, and I asked you 7 questions dealing with wallet or economic issues. And just looking at this chart in a very general sense for starters, what you're going to see over here is, in fact, if you scored to the right of that vertical bedroom line, then you're going to believe that government should regulate economic issues. If you scored to the left of that, and a decent number of you did, then you're going to believe that government should not regulate wallet issues, or at least should stay out of economic issues more than at least the people on the right side do. If you scored above the wallet line, which in fact a few of you did, that typically means that you believe that government should regulate moral issues. There are some behaviors that are acceptable, but there are some behaviors that in fact government should regulate. And if you scored south of that wallet line, a horizontal line, then in fact, guess what? You're going to believe that government should stay out of moral issues. And again, this is government regulation of economic issues, wallet issues, or bedroom issues, which are also moral issues. And we've got 4 ideologies here: conservative, populist, libertarian, and liberal. Let me go ahead and take these one at a time. And I will zoom in, or at least focus in, on the libertarian category. And you'll notice there's Lou, there's Qumran, there's Haley, there's Shaq, and there's John. Libertarians generally are going to believe that the government that governs best is going to be the government that governs least. In other words, government should stay out of economic issues, and government should stay out of moral issues. The idea here, like I said, the government that governs best is the government that governs least, or an individual should have the ability to rise or fall on their own merits. The more rules there are, the more that people can be hamstrung. However, the trick on this is that while you can rise or fall on your own merits, you could conceivably get incredibly high. But if you happen to slip and fall, then libertarians are really going to not be as interested in helping you get back on your feet. Remember, you rise or you fall on your own merits. Now you'll notice up here, John, you're kind of an interesting case because you fall really, really close to the center. And as you look at this, if we changed you from any of your questions, you could have conceivably ended up in any of the 4 quadrants. You scored basically as a very moderate libertarian, but if we change one category, you could have ended in any of the 4 quadrants. Your beliefs are very, very moderate, and in fact, I think your beliefs are probably more dependent upon the issue than the issue is determined by your beliefs. So kind of keep that thought in mind. But you'll notice as we go further and further away, the further that you get away from the center, the more extreme your views are. And you'll notice there's Haley, there's Shaq. Both of y'all said that 5 of the 7 times government should not regulate economic issues or wallet, and 5 of the 7 times government should stay out of moral issues or the bedroom issues. Y'all are good, solid libertarians. Now, as we go further in over here, Luis and Qumran, y'all both scored 6 out of 7 against government regulation of the wallet. Y'all are very strong libertarians, at least within the context of economic issues. And just think about this for a second. When we talk about economic issues, maybe a really good way of saying this is, I earn what I keep, so I should keep what I earn. In other words, if I worked hard, if I went to school, if I achieved at the corporate level, whatever that is, then in fact, I've earned my money, and you go earn yours, but let me keep what I've earned. You go earn yours. You work harder to get there. Government shouldn't penalize me for my success. It's kind of a libertarian view when it comes to taxes. Government would also not be as active in a libertarian kind of a government, so they wouldn't need as many taxes. When you think about it, they're going to, regarding moral issues, whether it's something like abortion, well, you know what, that's an individual choice. That's not really something for the government to be involved in. When it comes to things like weed, believe it or not, libertarians typically believe in the legalization of weed. Not so much that this is a drug issue for them, but this is an an individual power issue. This is an individual respect issue. This is an individual choice issue. Same thing with same-sex marriage. This isn't government's place to regulate. This is the individual. All of these are examples where, in fact, government should stay out of moral issues, at least in the libertarian mindset. Now, you'll notice over here that libertarians are going to share a side with this liberal group. And the liberal group, it typically, as we get into college-age folks, is going to be the biggest group of any of them. And there's no surprise here with your class. And I'm going to explain this why here in just a second. But you'll notice up here, well, it looks like about 10 of you actually fall in this group. Sergio, Kevin, Ruben, Rod, Teresa, Eric, Christian, Scott. I'm not going to name everybody, but liberals and libertarians are going to share a side. And that side is going to be the moral issues. Liberals and libertarians are going to agree that government, in fact, should stay out of moral issues. Government should allow people to make decisions in their personal lives without regulation, or at least with minimal regulation. However, liberals begin to change because now we're going over to the right side of the wallet line. So whereas libertarians believe that government should not really regulate economic issues and social issues, liberals are going to believe that government should not regulate the social issues, but they should regulate the economic or moral ones. In other words, if you make more money, then in fact you should pay more taxes. Liberals are going to have kind of a common idea, and that idea is kind of a Robin Hood. And if you remember with Robin Hood took from the rich in order to give to the poor. Liberals want to make sure that too few people don't have too much and too many people don't have enough, but they want to make sure that everybody has roughly enough. And if you do make more money, then in fact you should pay a higher share to help those that need it. Taxes. If people need help with their first business or buying their first house or establishing a tax, this kind of a thing, if they need help, buying their first house, government should step in and government should do it. In other words, we do need more regulation. And in fact, it shouldn't be the market that rules things like the price of gas, but in fact, government would be able to take better care of its citizens if government regulated the price of gas. Now, you'll notice as we look at this, there are a lot of y'all that are in here. And I'll just start. There's Eric, there's Rena. Both of y'all scored on 5 of 7 questions for the wallet. You did believe that government, in fact, should regulate economic issues. However, y'all on 4 of the 7 believe that government should stay out of moral ones. In other words, Eric and Rena, y'all are both very solid liberals on economic issues. However, y'all are both much, much more moderate in terms of moral issues. And if you remember, as we were going through this, there's Lou, there's John, there's Teresa, there's Eric, there's Rena, there's Christian. All of y'all are on the exact same line. Y'all are all moderate on moral issues. As far as government staying out of morality, there is, I guess, a degree of freedom, but y'all do seem to believe that there are some issues that government should regulate. The difference in y'all's position on the graph, you all agree the same as far as moral issues. Your difference is how much you believe that government should regulate economics. You'll notice as we go down to the bottom, there's Sergio, there's Kevin down there. It looks like, Sergio, on 6 of the 7 questions, you said that government should stay out of moral issues. Kevin, it looks like you didn't answer all the questions, but it does look like you were very solidly as far as government staying out of morals, bedroom issues, and you're on the same line as Asha in that regard. However, y'all are much, much more moderate in terms of government regulation. So you notice there's about 5 of you that are gathered right there on that same vertical line. And the difference again is you're all agreeing moderate government regulation, 4 of the 7 questions for economic issues, but you have varying degrees of government staying out of morality. Now, one last one over here, and you'll notice, Scott, I think I had mentioned with John at the very beginning that the closer that you are to the center, in fact, the more moderate your views are going to be. However, if you notice as we get into this liberal category, there's Scott. on 6 of the 7 questions, Scott, you believe that government should regulate the wallet. On 5 of the 7, you believe that government should stay out of morals. You are a very strong liberal on economic issues. You are a good, solid liberal as far as the morality pieces. Now, you'll notice the liberals and the libertarians are going to share a side, so they are going to agree that government should stay out of morals, but they are also going to disagree on government regulation of economics. If, however, you go caddy, so we go from liberal up here to the upper left-hand corner to the conservatives, you don't share any sides, so a conservative is going to be the exact opposite of a liberal. Conservatives are going to agree that government should stay out of wallet issues. In other words, conservatives and libertarians are going to share this side, meaning government should stay out of the wallet. I should earn what I keep, and I should keep what I earn. In other words, I should rise and fall, at least economically, on my own merits. So when you go up here and you think about conservatives, conservatives are in fact going to believe that, you know what, taxes, we should not, if we make an awful lot of money, be paid more. We should not be punished for our success. If you don't have enough money, it shouldn't be for the wealthier people to subsidize. It should be for you to go out and work harder. If you create a new business, if you create jobs, if you add to the goods and the services of the economy, then in fact you should actually receive a tax break. Government should not regulate the economics, things like the price of gas, for example, but it should be the market, because when government gets involved and it regulates the economy, or it regulates business, or it regulates the individual too much, then individual creativity is stifled. That, in a nutshell, is government staying out of the wallet. However, conservatives are different than both liberal and libertarian because they're going to believe in regulating moral issues. When it comes to abortion, oh yes, government should have a say in there. It shouldn't just be about the woman and her body. Weed, oh yes, government should have a say there. That's not something that should be allowed. School prayer, for example, oh yes, government or schools should encourage, maybe strongly encourage sometimes, kids to be able to pray. So when you put, and same-sex marriage, oh, I believe the question that I had asked y'all, or the true-false statement was, marriage is between a man and a woman, period. That is probably more of a typical Republican or conservative response. And let me stress to you with this. When you think about conservative, the root is conserve. So you're going to try and conserve or preserve what is existing. And marriage and church and social institutions would all be examples of things that conservatives want to conserve or preserve. So think about that. Now, of course, the conservatives share that side with libertarians. They're also going to share a side with this last group. And oh, before I move on, there's Raphael, our one lone conservative. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on. Raphael, on 5 of the 7, you said that government should, in fact, stay out of the wallet. On 5 of the 7, you said that government should regulate moral issues. So, yeah, you're a good, solid conservative. And another word for conservative oftentimes is Republican. Just to kind of recap, a good word for a liberal oftentimes is going to be Democrat. So that's kind of the red and the blue that we're talking about. This last category up here are the populists. And if populist is catty to the libertarians, meaning that they don't share a side, that means that if libertarians believe that government should basically stay out of moral issues and government should basically stay out of economic issues, then the populists are going to believe that government should regulate both economic and moral issues. So let's explore this for a second. Populists are basically going to believe that government is there to help Joe and Jane Sixpack. There are going to be some people out there that are going to struggle to get ahead. There are going to be some people out there that are going to struggle. Maybe it's limited education. Maybe it's limited means. Frankly, populists are basically going to say that government can make better decisions for the people than, in fact, the people can make for themselves. We can uplift the folks that need us. Give us the power and we will regulate you to glory. Well, that might not be quite the right way of saying it, but you get the idea. So when you think about it, of course, there's Angry V, there's Gorsitu, there's Barbara. And when you look at this category, populists are going to believe, just like the Republicans, in regulating morals, school prayer, abortion, guns, there's going to be a pretty good overlap in views here. However, when it comes to economic issues, populists are going to share a side with the liberals. In other words, they're going to believe in regulating. They're going to believe in helping Joe and Jane Sixpack when they can't help themselves. They're going to believe in taking from the rich in order to give to the poor. Their thought is that, again, we'd rather not have too many people with too few people with too much, or too many people with too little, but we want to have more people with enough of what it is that they need. Now, you'll notice up here, there's Angry V, Gorsitu, and Barbara. Gracious, Angry V, on 6 of the 7, you believed in regulating moral issues, so you're very strongly populist there. You're much more moderate economically, only 4 of the 7, so it kind of depends on the issue. Barbara, on 7 of the 7 issues, you believe that government should redistribute. In other words, you are very strongly interested in helping people that don't have enough, but when it comes to moral issues, you are only 4 to 3 in terms of government regulation. In other words, it really depends on the issue that ultimately will determine what you think. So you're much, much more moderate there. Our really solid populist is actually Gorsitu. And you'll notice up there, Gorsitu, on 5 of the 7, you said government should regulate morals. On 6 of the 7, you said that government should regulate economics. And it's funny, an extreme populist is often known as a dictator. So Angry V, Gorsitu, Barbara, I'm curious to see if y'all, in fact, are known for having control issues. And if you do get an exam question, who in class is most likely to be the dictator, it looks like it's going to be Gorsitu. Just to recap just really quickly, the libertarians are going to believe, in fact, that the government that governs best governs least, and that individuals can make better decisions for themselves than government can. And you notice down here, an extreme version of a libertarian is actually going to be an anarchist. Now, just to make sure that we're clear on this, libertarians believe in strongly limited government. Anarchists believe in the absence of government. And if you think that this kind of a system can't work, think about international relations. We do not have a world government. So guess what? In fact, the international system is a system of anarchy. Kamran, it looks like you would be most likely to be the anarchist. If you notice over here with the liberals, and the bulk of y'all fell in the liberal category, liberals are going to believe in regulating government, regulating economic issues, but government staying out of moral ones. And you'll notice up here in this conservative box, I have a U up here. And let me come back and explain this for just a second. You know, basically, it's not that surprising that so few young people are conservative and so many more lean more toward liberal when you think about this chart. If you notice in the upper left part of the U, it says this is when you're young, and it says liberal. And I guess the basic idea is that when you're younger, you're going to school, or you're establishing your career, or you're kind of living paycheck to paycheck, or you don't really have that much that government needs to protect. In other words, you probably need government help more than the government needs yours. So with this in mind, younger people, because they have less that's actually at risk, because they're still kind of establishing themselves, oftentimes they're going to be a little bit more on the liberal side. Now, let me stress to you, I'm not saying that all young people are liberal, but what I'm saying is that you are more likely to be more liberal when you're younger than you will be at just about any other point in your life. Think about that. You're more likely to be more liberal when you're younger than you will be at any other point in your life. Now, as you get older and as you get more to the middle age side of things, you'll notice up here that you see conservative written in there. And the basic idea here is this. You get that first big job. You get married. Maybe you have kids, adopt kids, whatever. You've got a mortgage. You've got, lots of cars. You've got stuff, in other words. When you think about it, now you need government to kind of conserve or preserve what it is that you've been building. When you're younger, you don't have that much. You're going to be a little bit more liberal. You're going to be more experimental in social issues. When you get to middle age, however, and you've got more to lose personally, you become considerably more conservative. And experimental, when you have something to lose, becomes a lot less likely. You'll notice as we go back up the right side of the U, you'll see up there that liberal and old are kind of together. And think about it like this for just a second. you've retired from your job, the kids are grown, the house is paid for. In other words, it's almost like you're a little bit more free again, like you were younger. And when you think about it, you become more liberal when you're older again, too. Now, let me stress on this. I'm not saying when you get to middle age that you're going to be conservative, but I'm saying that you're going to be more conservative when you're in your middle age. And I'm not saying that when you get old, you're going to be liberal, but I'm saying that you're going to be more liberal when you're older than you will be pretty much at any other time in your life, maybe with the exception of when you're young. Think about it. When you're young, you don't really have any bills, you're living from paycheck to paycheck. A lot of young people want legalized weed. When you look at older people, you don't have any bills, you don't have that first big job, you want the government to pay for your drugs at this point. I mean, there's actually a lot more overlap than you would think at first glance. So it doesn't surprise me that there aren't more conservatives. What we'll end up seeing is that this will probably change more as people get older. And then let me stress this last category, as far as relationship between bedroom and wallet. The populace are actually going to believe that government should regulate both bedroom and moral issues. For the exam, please make sure that you're comfortable. Please make sure that you're comfortable with the regulation or not regulation of bedroom moral issues, wallet economic issues, because this is really the key. And maybe give me an example or two as you go with it. Thanks and good luck as you study.